Hello and welcome, everybody.
Hello, hello, welcome. We're delighted to be with you here today. I'm Carola Eastwood,
And I'm Chetan Harkin.
in case you didn't know. And we're broadcasting here today on June 22nd, right just following the summer solstice, big turning point in the year. If you're new to our community, we warmly welcome you. We produce this program once a month to really benefit our community, to give you an overview of the energies coming up, especially for those who are on a path of self-development, self-awareness, spiritual growth. So, welcome, welcome. Before we begin our broadcast today, we have quite a bit to go through and share with you. It's an exciting month, big turning point month. We'd like to let you know about two things. First of all, we currently have a special running on our readings. So it's called the Summer Reading Special. You may have seen it. We've been sending out a couple of emails. And the Summer Reading Special is a time, of course, you could have a reading with a human design reading with Chetan at any point in time, but we run a special twice a year. And the summer reading special includes a 1 hour coaching session with me. So when you have your 90-minute, really deep dive human design reading with Chetan, following that a week or two after, depending on scheduling, you have a full hour coaching session with me. So I've been coaching business owners for a good, well, I think it's been about 17 years now, to up-level their business, to really connect with what the business of their heart and soul, in the way that it expresses. And it's a deep look at how you use your human design specifically to increase your success, and not just your financial success in life, but your level of fulfillment. The human design reading with Chetan in itself is a huge life-changing event. I can't tell you how many people we've had come to us who've said that they've had 3 readings, 4 readings, 5 readings, and they still don't get it. They still don't get their design. And one 90-minute deep dive with Chetan, and not only do they get their design, really understand it, are prepared to utilize it, but there's really an energetic up-leveling that happens when you work with Chetan. So we invite you to really, this could be a great time, because you'll also have that deep dive coaching session with me.
Which helps you completely ground
Yes.
this design reading of yours in your life.
Right.
Priceless.
To make it practical for you. So it's not just information, but you bring it in, you ground it, and you put it to work in your life and in your business. So we have that coming. And also, you won't see this yet because we haven't launched it yet, but I feel like I need a drum roll. Chetan, well, I'll be there too, but Chetan is doing a special presentation in Santa Fe, New Mexico in September. So there's a 4-day workshop in September that's a human design workshop. Usually there's around 150 people who attend. It's really fun. It's like a festival that goes on for 4 days. Lots of learning, different teachers. Chetan is highlighted as one of the main stage teachers there, and he'll be giving I think it's an 80-minute presentation. And then following that, on the Monday following, which will be September 23rd, Chetan will be delivering his karma clearing workshop, day-long workshop.
So if you feel like you've got a few blocks in your life, a few things not working out too well, this will absolutely clear the way for you. The effects of this particular training, I've been, let's just say, refining it over the last 4 years, and this is the first time it'll be done in the United States. The effects of it are enormous, like absolutely clearing the way forward for you.
Right.
So
clearing old karma patterns. So it's exciting, and we'll just invite you. You'll see it because we'll announce it sometime, probably the 3rd week of July, something like that. So take a look and come join us if you can. We'd love to meet some of you in person. That would be so much fun. Okay, so
Here we are,
Shall we?
22nd of the merry month of June
June.
2024. Looking forward.
Yeah, we just had the summer solstice, June 20th, which is a really significant turning point. We have a summer solstice and a winter solstice. And then we have the two equinoxes. So 4 times of the year, we experience a turning point, and that turning point is for all of humanity. For those of you who are really sensitive and aware and tuned in and perhaps meditating, you probably really will be feeling this, especially right now. It's a powerful process of awakening into a higher frequency. We're moving now, all of humanity is moving now firmly into the Aquarian age of light. It'll go on for a couple thousand years. And we're just at the very beginning, but we've been going through all this, the doors opening over the past 30, 40, 50 years even, as consciousness begins to awaken all over the planet. And we're just about at that point where we've reached sort of the point of maximum velocity where the awakening starts to blossom all over the world. So we're here, and I know that the times we're living in right now can seem and can be, very challenging. There are going to be big challenges in this time. There's also going to be big leaps of consciousness. And it's those challenges often that are the catalyst for those big leaps of consciousness. So if we look at the energies of the summer solstice, what we see is the sun. What the summer solstice happens when the sun goes into the sign of Cancer. And the sun at the solstice is in a direct right angle with Neptune. The lower frequency of Neptune is delusion or illusion, getting into the Maya, not being able to see clearly. The higher frequency of Neptune is divine inspiration. So we are being invited at this time, literally yesterday, the day before, today, tomorrow, this weekend, to up-level our energy, to allow a level of awakening to the higher spiritual realms and begin to live our life more and more and more from that place of inspired living. If we experience it as difficult, what we're experiencing is the old patterns are getting confronted. The old patterns need to move out. And although that can be uncomfortable, if we can breathe through it, meditate through it, even dance through it,
celebrate through it,
right? What we'll find on the other side is that we've moved through to a whole nother level of empowerment. Mercury, the planet of communication, and Venus are together, and they're together with the sun in Cancer, and both of them, Mercury and Venus. So Mercury is the planet of communication, Venus the planet of relationship, love, beauty, money, all the goodies in life, in a right angle with the moving soul path for all humanity. And I think you're going to be talking about the soul path is really significant.
It is,
turning
right.
point.
Yeah.
So this point of the summer solstice and the coming full moon, and the full moon yesterday actually, is a point of maximum possibility for realization of where we are in our path and what needs to up level or change or be renewed. What new inspiration can come in? What are the turning points? What do we need to let go of so that we can make room for the new? There's a whole new way of being that's emerging on the planet now. So tune in at this time to what those changes are for you. The energies of this particular time are quite flowing. If we look at the full moon, which happened yesterday.
May have noticed it.
Yesterday evening, in Pacific time, the full moon in Capricorn, opposite the sun in Cancer, both of those now in this right angle with Neptune. So if the solstice didn't get our attention, which it probably did for all of us conscious people, then this full moon will really have gotten our attention as we look to see what is it that we've been in any kind of illusion about? What is it that we're not seeing clearly in our life? And how can we find our clarity? Where do we go in our being? Where do we go to access that clarity? That really is the question of the day. And if you seek, you will find, right? So find your clarity. That's the resounding message of both the solstice and the full moon following the next day. We've got also some really favorable, very flowing aspects. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and growth, in this beautiful triangle. Jupiter now having moved into Gemini. So it's all about communicating, connecting, get out there with people. It's time to go to events again. It's time to engage with the community of humanity again and really be a part of the whole communication about how our energy is up leveling in this time. So Jupiter in Gemini, expansion of communications and connections. Trining Pluto in Aquarius. This is that opening, the transformation that needs to happen so that we open into the new age where we're living more and more from the inspiration of our spirit. We're following our spirit guidance, trusting it implicitly, and moving with it. So we get in real time. We get in the now. And when we live our life from the now, that's empowerment. The other things that are happening, there's some really lovely romantic energy happening, which is always nice for the summer. A great flow of Venus and Mars in some lovely connections together, just making a flow, making greater ease with romance, fun, delightful communication and connections with others. And we also have perhaps, this is a time of really being able to see big vision, big possibility for ourselves. But we also have Saturn saying, okay, so we see this big possibility, but let's get it practical, let's get it grounded. So how do we take the vision and the inspiration that spirit brings us, that our higher self brings us, if you will, and ground that and put it into form, put it into expression in the world. So with that, I will over to you.
All right. So very amazing times at the moment. So many things changing, so many things being reevaluated. And it's very easy to get lost in the constant change that seems to be happening. But the most important thing is to stay centered in this time, to stay centered in one's own being. And what is going on at the moment with this solstice, the solstice marks a point 4 times a year where we enter into this life theme we call the vessel of love. And there are 4 points to it. This particular point, the sun is in hexagram number 15, which is the hexagram we call humanity. And it's all about connecting. As Carol was saying, it's a great time to connect with everybody, to be celebrating, to be mingling. So if the sun is in this area that we call civilization in the sky, then the earth is in the part of the sky we call mutation. And so the earth is where we really see ourselves grounding ourselves in our lives. And while we're grounding in this time, we're seeing there's a lot of changes happening literally under our feet. And the whole thing is to maintain our balance within all of this. Jupiter has just gone into hexagram or gateway number 16, the gateway of selectivity. And it just happens that the South Node destiny for humanity is in gateway number 48. And so that brings into play for all of us this channel, the 1648, which is the channel of talent. One of the things about talent is all of us have gifts. Let's be absolutely clear about this. All of us have unique gifts. It's just, have we ever been encouraged to use them? Have we kind of had to toe the line and get on with other things and kind of drop the whole idea that there's something really special that we do for ourselves in our lives? And so Jupiter's really accenting that for us in this time, and just say, well, hang on a minute. Is it the whole 9 to 5 forever? You have to nose to the grindstone and keeping on, keeping on. Can we kind of sit back a little bit and just see, well, what are the things that come through us naturally? What are the things that are really fun when we put our energy towards? What do we want to really practice in our life to bring them up to a higher standard and a higher quality for ourselves and for the world around us? So that is an energy that goes on from now right the way through to the middle of July. And just for all of us to have a look again and see, what are the things I love to do? From a personal choice, what would I really like to put my energy into and have fun with, right? So all of us have something like that, and it's just to be aware of that in this arena of being able to connect around other people. So great time to furnish one's talents and bring them out into the world. Other thing that's going on, we not only have this solstice where the sun is in gate 15, humanity. Humanity means about connecting, but it's also about appreciating nature around us. The 15th gateway is common to all living things, everything that has some kind of life in it. So great time to be in nature, great time to appreciating the other people, animals, horses, dogs, cats, fish, whales, everybody that's living around us, to really appreciate what an extraordinary planet we've been given to play with, and what amazing creatures that we have around us to join with us in this. So the full moon, right, happens last night, and you say it happens in Capricorn, I say it happens in hexagram number 10.
Yes.
When you played around with the I Ching for as long as I have, 45, 50 years, it's one of the most extraordinary works of consciousness. And it's a way of accessing into our unconscious. It's a way of giving ourselves images of what it is that plays out in our lives. Everything in Chinese is written in a pictogram. Every chop mark has a story behind it, or has some reference into other areas of life. And so the 10th hexagram, absolutely one of my favorites, is the one that was called treading on the tail of a tiger. So, get the image of this. You're going for a walk, you're having a great time, out in the woods, and all of a sudden you realize you put your foot on this stripy thing, and on the other end of it, there's a tiger. Instant challenge, right? Out of the blue challenge. Wasn't meaning to tread on it, didn't even want to go this way if there was going to be a problem. But hang on, all of a sudden, here's this challenge right in front of me. What do I do? Do I take it in my stride? Or do I have a freak out? Do I fold up? Do I collapse? All of us are being presented with challenges at the moment in all kinds of different ways, because there's so many changes happening. There's all kinds of things that have never come our way before, and all of a sudden they're right in front of us. What do? And the whole thing here is to take it in your stride, because this full moon is in the 10 with the 4th line. And I'm going to read to you from the Book of Lines what the 4th line says. It's called exploring, looking for great benefit and transformation in any interaction. Right? So all of us have habits, or, I can't deal with this, or I don't want to meet so-and-so, and I can't get on with this, that, and the other. And this is about striding through it. I may feel a little uncomfortable at first, but here we are. This is what's happening in my life in this moment in time. Let's see if there's an opportunity here. Let's see if I can bridge this fear. Let's see if I can step over whatever it is before that has stopped me dead in my tracks. So this full moon is the beginning of a sequence, because the new moon is going to come up with something else, which I'm going to give another story around as well. But this is really about embracing the challenges that come our way. The people we say will never have anything to do with them. The projects will never take on. The ability to move into an expression of our talent that we said, oh, I can't have time for that. Right? So we're on the spot here. So just to really enjoy this full moon and really see massive opportunity to bridge into other areas of our lives where there's maybe trepidation or concern, or I can't do it. None of us have ever been encouraged to be ourselves. Just look at that. Look at everything in your life story. Be a good kid, be a good parishioner, be a good student, be a good worker, whatever. All these different ways we've been told to follow somebody else's ideas about life. And so really, the essence of this time is we're stepping into our own individuality. And here's this full moon just saying, go for it.
Saying it's time.
It's time.
It is time. So is that complete there? All right. So moving on into the very last part of this month of June, we come to the third quarter moon. So as I think many of you know, when we have a new moon, that's the time when the sun and moon conjoin, and it happens once a month. The new moon begins a new cycle, a new 30-day cycle for each of us. And it'll be unique to where that new moon falls in our particular chart, whether it's your astrology chart or your human design chart. That new moon will activate some part of your own chart. And when it does that, that's where the focus goes for the month. So we have a particular focus that began at the new moon, and we just now are in that place of coming to the full moon, which brings it to fruition, or brings it to our highest awareness. It expands our awareness of where we are in this cycle. So whatever we're looking at in our life right now, whatever's up for us right now, as we just had the full moon, we just had the summer solstice, we're moving into this new time. That's our workshop for the month. That's where we need to focus our energy in order to align ourselves with our own ability to co-create our life with spirit. So our life has a magic, it has a divine inspiration. Each one of us has the ability to access that divine inspiration and allow divine inspiration to inform our life. So we work with the planetary energies, we work with the human design energies, because we're living in a third dimensional reality where we're living in the world of form, in which we experience these things called time and space and action, reaction, or karma, if you will.
Duality.
But essentially, the evolution of humanity is moving to a place where we can maintain the awareness of duality at the same time that we're aligned with the awareness of eternity and oneness. And that's really what the potential is at this time. When we move to the end of June, we get to the third quarter moon. And that's the point in time if there's any further realizations that need to come from that amazing full moon that we're having now. These will be coming at the third quarter moon, June 28th. And what we have there is the planet Mercury, the planet of communication, has now moved into a trine aspect, which is this beautiful flowing triangle aspect to Neptune. So that our vision gets really, really clear. So don't be bemused if you don't have the absolute clarity of vision for what's next for you yet. That vision is coming, and it should arrive here if you're available for it, because you need to be receptive to it, asking for it and available to it. That big vision will come in as Mercury goes to further and further into that trine with Neptune, illuminating the vision for what's next for us. What's the big vision? And then once we know what that big vision is, we have that inspiration. Then from there, we need to set achievable goals with it. It's okay, just having the vision isn't enough, because we're living in the physical plane. So we now need to activate that vision and make it manifest in the physical plane. So what steps need to be taken? What kind of support do you need? What resources do you need to access? And one more thing. Are there issues that are holding you back? Do you know what your big vision is, but there's fear about stepping into it? What is that issue that may be holding you back, or the experience of being held back? And it's time to heal family issues, ancestral issues from way, way back. It's time, and it has been for a while, but there are periods of time that become catalytic for that healing. And this is one of them, this period in late June and into July. Time to heal, forgive, evolve through, get the message of whatever our family ancestral pain has been, so that we allow it to become, allow the pain of it or the stress of it or whatever to become a gift. In other words, it becomes a gift when we get the learning from it, and we're able to then use it in our evolutionary development. So, this is no small task that we're being called to right now. It's a huge task. We're being called to awaken fully, and then to use our gifts, talents, and abilities to support others to do the same. We're waking up a world, folks. So whatever's in our way, and hey, we have stuff, that we go through, that, we have issues. Everybody has issues that they came in with. And, what I can say is that there's never been an issue I've faced, and I have faced a lot, that once I've worked through it and gotten to the other side and have gotten to the truth beyond it, that I haven't felt enormously grateful to myself for having the courage to do that. So whatever comes up, whatever challenges are there, don't run from them, don't hide from them, don't put the covers over your head, but just say, all right, what is this? What am I being gifted with for my learning? What is it that I'm meant to learn here? Life is meant to be working in our favor. This third quarter moon is a time of moving us forward. Once again, along the illumination that happened at the full moon.
So looking again at the human design pattern at the end of the month, I'm going to talk a little bit about the planet Saturn. Saturn, we could say, gives us our life's lessons here on planet Earth. What are the rules? What are the constrictions, if you will, about being in 3 dimensions and interacting in what becomes our society? And so Saturn, for the last years, has been going through all the gateways in what we see as the emotion center in human design. And all of us, one way or another, have had emotional instances taking place, things that have been potential complications, perhaps fits of temper or fits of delight, the full end of all the spectrum of possible emotional experiences. And, if you write down a page of all kinds of emotional adjectives, you're not just going to have one page of words. You're going to have several pages of words about all the different emotions that we can have. So Saturn's really been kind of working us in this arena in our life. And right now it's in the gateway number 22, which is the gateway of grace, right? Grace, always, every hexagram has a flip side. On the one side, we got grace, on the other side, we got disgrace. And so you don't have to look too far into the world to see, there's both aspects of things being played out at the moment. And right on the 29th of the month, Saturn goes into a retrograde from the 22 with the third line. It's going to retrograde backwards, back in through the emotional center. So just to be aware of this, can we find balance in our emotions? It's not about ignoring emotions, because the emotion center in our human presence is all about having pleasure. It's the center of pleasure. But there's limits to pleasure. You laugh too hard and then you cry very hard. You go to one extreme, then you have to go to the other extreme. You gorge on food and then, sooner or later you suffer physically from it. So it's about finding that balance in all things, and to see, particularly in this time, as the world is getting hotter, there's no question about it. The climate's heating up. Does that mean to say we have to heat up with it? So here's the challenge in a sense. The 22, this gate of grace, when we are confronted by, I'm going to use the word idiocy or stupidity or anger or rage, can we be gracious? That's the challenge. Can we be gracious when we're confronted by something that is ridiculous? And that's the whole challenge at the moment. That is what Saturn is allowing us to really have a look at. Things that got our goat, things that got us all upset, all freaked out about. And let's face it, there's enormous divisions in the world at the moment. There are people that are absolutely stuck in a rigid dogma. They will not shift. They've been told this is how it is and they believe it. Instead of just seeing maybe there's another side to the story.
It's like set in concrete.
Yeah. So there it is. You know, that Saturn is giving us that particular push for these next weeks and months. Get a grip. Have a look. Is this a situation I need to react in case and use my old habits and my old dogmas and my fears and concerns about life? Or is this a place where I can really be gracious? It's a good challenge for all of us. So let's see what happens. We enter into the month of July with the sun in the 39th hexagram, right? The 39 is the gateway of provocation, right? So that is the energy. Right after we have this thing of can we be gracious when we're being confronted with stuff, you know? And so we have this tension in our lives right at the beginning, and right away we have this new moon, and the new moon happens on the 5th. I'm just going to remark on the 4th, very particular day for the United States of America, the United States of America. What an extraordinary vision this country is, you know? Really, I've lived all over the world. I've traveled everywhere. I've seen all kinds of different cultures and things. America is such an extraordinary place. So much is possible here. And for me, I'm quite deliberate. The next jump in consciousness takes place in these United States of America. And so why the 4th of July is so important is this is when this Declaration of Independence was made. Very cool word, independence, because you can also morph it into individuality. And the life theme of the United States of America is the life theme of individuality, right? It's not the rule system. It's not the belief system. It's be yourself, right? Trust in yourself. That's the essence of this Declaration of Independence. So that is why it's so precious. And, you know, the sun has a different orbit each time. It doesn't always spend the day in the 39 with the 5th line on the 4th of July, but this year it does. And so let's just say there's another Declaration of Independence happening in the United States of America this year. And to just recognize how important that is. We are being encouraged to be ourselves, to drop all these dogmas, all these fixations about things, and to trust in our own self. That's what the United States Declaration of Independence stands for. So we have a new moon on the 5th. And guess what? The new moon happens in hexagram number 39, this gateway of provocation. And it happens in the 6th line. And as I say, you know, I've been messing around with the I Ching for so long, I love it. Because it happens at the 39 with the 6th line is one of my absolute favorite lines. You know how we've all got a story of how we can't do something, how we're handicapped, how we're held back. You know, my parents were mean, the school teachers didn't get me, I failed in all my classes, you know, da-da-da-da-da. We all can bring out the violin and say, what a sorry situation I've got in this area of my life because I'm so constrained here. Well, the 39 with the 6th line eradicates that. If you're prepared to buy into it and just see, this is an opportunity to get rid of all crutches, all belief systems, all things that are holding me back. You know, to just drop the story. I can't. To just drop that whole story and say, actually, I can. So to me, you know, this is like a really special time of the year and a special time in all our lives to just see there's this confluence where the new moon is just inviting us, step forward. You know, the full moon was saying, go for it, challenges, you can do it, right? And the new moon is saying, drop the story. See what's possible. Be the individual. We're moving into the age of the individual. This is the Aquarian age. You know, the two waves, as above, so below. Yeah, there's no division anymore. We can make heaven on earth. This is it. We're entering into this 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. You don't necessarily read the news and see that being echoed there.
Sure don't.
But do you have to believe in the news, and do you have to believe in the dinosaurs that are still running around in human form? You know, evolution has taken place, and particularly the consciousness evolution. So let's just really celebrate in this time and just see what an extraordinary opening there is for all of us to step forward.
There really is. So powerful.
Over to you, sweetheart.
All right. So the new moon, from the astrological perspective, of course, this is the beginning of a new cycle. The new moon, the sun and moon together at 14 degrees of the sign of Cancer. The sign of Cancer has to do with nurturing and caring. You know, what is it that we need to, for not just for physical sustenance, but for emotional well-being, for spiritual peace. How do we need to nurture ourselves? How do we need to nurture our lives? And because this new moon is in a right angle with the moving soul path for all of humanity, for each one of us, and the moving soul path is saying it's time to self-actualize, actualize your truth, step into the present moment and live your truth, then what's happening is that the new moon is saying, okay, so what is your truth? Now, what is it now? Not what was it years ago, but what is it now? What's true now for us? And finding that truth is really the gem. That's the jewel. Because as we step into more and more, as we step into our truth, life empowers us to move forward in that way. And we begin to attract to ourselves the people, the opportunities, the well-being, the resources that we need. Everything that we need comes to us from our place of being aligned and centered and empowered in our soul essence, living a soul being, living, having a human lifetime for the purpose of experience, for the purpose of evolution. So we're here for our own personal evolutionary growth. And we're also here to be of service as much as we're called to the evolutionary growth of humanity. Okay, so it's a turning point time. It's an awakening time. It's like, is there something that's been calling you that you know you really want to do, or you want to step into, or you know, you've always envisioned it, you've always imagined it, but you just haven't done it yet? Okay, it's time. Break through. Do the healing work. Do the whatever the, you know, ask for the catalyst for healing, and it will come. It will come. It will arrive. And engage with it so that you awaken to this whole new possibility in your life, your next level of expression on planet Earth. So it's highly significant time. Saturn is the planet that has to do with our life lessons, our karmic lessons, if you will. So Saturn being in the sign of Pisces, essentially what it's saying is that what we're working with now is lessons that have to do with our beliefs, our spiritual, philosophical beliefs, what our relationship to truth is. So all the learning going on for all of us right now, and this in particular, this turning point when Saturn turned retrograde, or turns right, it did it right at the end of the month, right?
Yeah, 29th.
Yeah, is a time of realizing what our soul has been called to and where we are with it. Are we current with what our soul is calling us to? That's really the only question of the time. You know, the energy right now is phenomenal. It's flying in early July. Mercury is in this, it has been in this beautiful trine with Neptune, giving us our high vision, and like our next step becomes clear to us. And then it's now moved into in early July, and continuing to move into the whole first, 10 days, 11, 12 days of July. Another really beautiful aspect with Jupiter, which is Jupiter is about expansion and growth through creativity. Jupiter currently in Leo. So finding our creative mojo, if you will, what is that we uniquely are here to create, to do, to express, to teach, to share with the world, and getting on with it so that we're grounding it and bringing it into form. It's a time of a radical departure, perhaps, from the way that we have been working, or the programs we've been doing, or the processes we've had in place in our life, in our work, in our business. It is perhaps a radical departure, but it's a soft landing for those of us who are simply willing to step through that doorway that the universe is holding open for us right now, is inviting us to step through. And once we step through that doorway, it really is a soft landing, because we've got the support, we've got resources, the energy just comes to support that next evolutionary step, that next evolutionary really jump, I would say. What is it that you're here to communicate? What are you here to teach? And perhaps, if you don't formally teach, stand up in front of a crowd and teach, what do you teach tangentially by simply the quality of your being and the way you live your life? What do you emulate? It's a time of high inventiveness and high creativity in respect of, what do you want to say, like innovative kinds of using innovative kinds of new technologies and so forth. Mars, the planet of our work in the world, Uranus, the planet of awakening to higher levels of consciousness, together at this time. And that goes on for past the first half of July. We have this aspect of Mars and Uranus together in the sign of Taurus, saying, what is it that is the new awakening that we now take into the work that we do in the world, and we ground that. We ground it, Taurus. We bring it into physical form. We develop it, and we bring the creativity in. It's the Mars and Uranus conjunction is linked very favorably with Venus. So high creativity, high, new ideas, entire new ways of expressing begin to emerge for us, begin to drop into our awareness. So I think the message here with Jupiter and Gemini is, don't be afraid to experiment. You can't take a wrong turn if you're following your high inspiration. Yeah. Okay. There was one other thing I wanted to say about Saturn. So some people, when I mentioned Saturn, people who know astrology, they groan, oh, Saturn, it's the taskmaster, it's the bringer of karma. Well, karma can be good. Karma isn't necessarily something bad. Sure, it can be. It can be, it's just the result of our actions and our choices. So whatever actions and choices we've made in the past, we get to experience the dynamic effect of those in real time. And whatever we're experiencing, whatever challenges, internal challenges we're experiencing at this time, it's, if we simply breathe through it and allow it, just know that this is what we're meant, these are the challenges we're meant to have, so that we can continue on our path of evolutionary growth. So Saturn really is our friend, because without it, there would be no learning. We wouldn't be learning anything. And we wouldn't be growing. We wouldn't be evolving our consciousness, which is what this planet and life on planet Earth is all about. That's what it's for. So we're here to evolve our consciousness. The planetary energies right here following this new moon in July set the stage for us for a full 30 days now, until early August. We're really working on evolving our inner consciousness, our awareness, healing whatever needs to be healed within ourselves, completing that, and stepping in to the dynamic truth of our soul and our soul's vision and our soul's wisdom that we only can access in present time. Over to you.
Yeah. And it's just, being available and open to dropping the old story.
Yes.
That life is against me.
Life is hard.
Life is something that happens to me.
Yes.
The actual phrase is life is something that happens for me. It's just shift one little word in there, and everything, the whole perspective changes. So here we are, and I'm going to move forward a little bit into mid-month.
Yeah.
Around the 12th, we have a little action between Mercury and Venus, where we have this channel, the 731, which all of a sudden gives us a sense of direction. It gives us a pointer, gives us a little glimpse into the future. Where am I going? Am I on track? Am I on course? What's my compass setting in this moment in time? And right after that, within a few days from that, the sun goes into hexagram 56, and we enter into this life thing we call the laws, LAWS, the laws. Basically, laws are something that are here to serve us. Rule systems, regulations, all that stuff. They're here to serve us, not the other way around. They're not necessarily here to restrict us. They're here to help us go through life, So this whole thing Carol is saying about Saturn, Saturn's really can be on our side because it can clarify things where we're a bit stuck, that we haven't dealt with something in a straightforward fashion. And in this time, we haven't necessarily been gracious. There's a lot of dogma flying around in the world at the moment. It can only be like this. And just seeing, okay, well, there's no point in arguing with a fanatic. There's nothing going to happen there. Just be gracious, good luck. And this is going to be very, very important because come the 19th of the month, we have a nodal shift. Mm-hmm. And this, when I say nodal shift, we're talking about the destiny path for humanity. Every 17 or 18 years, it goes back through the same area and has another look at it and says, did you get the last round of this one? Did it work out for you? And so I looked in our little app here, our human design app. You can get it for free on our website. And looking back, when was the last time this took place? 2006, January of 2006. The nodes were in exactly the same place they're going to be when they come in there in the 19th of July. The North Node in gate 17, the South Node in gate 18. So what's the consequence of this? What is 18 all about? It's all about bringing around a rebalancing. If this was the Sun Earth going in here, we'd be entering into the life thing we call upheaval. So let's just say in the middle of July, there's going to be an upheaval. There's going to be a rearrangement of things that are not in balance are going to find themselves collapsing one way or another. And I'm not going to say, there's going to be another crisis, but there is going to be a readjustment taking place because 2006, if you go back that far, you'll remember there was quite a shift going on this planet, especially in the housing scene. And, a lot of people got in a bit of trouble in that time. So I'm not saying the same thing is going to repeat itself, but I'm going to say, did we learn anything from the last time this happened? Are we completely overextended in some ways or other? And in which case, how long do we have to get things back in balance? How much do we have to focus on getting things back in balance? So that's what I'm saying around this nodal shift. But as Carol says, in these times when there are these dramatic changes, some things are going to fall to pieces, but other things are going to rise like crazy. And if we're alert and aware about these things and we're centered and clear in ourselves, there can be this huge personal transformation that takes place. For example, the 18 with the 6th line, which is where the South Node lands on the 19th of July. We call it being the Buddha. Well, you're going to look at the highest expression of consciousness on this planet. You're going to have to look at Gautama the Buddha. Mm-hmm. This guy broke all the rules, all the boundaries, everything. And, really challenged the way things had been set up, all the belief systems that had been set up in the world. And the North Node is in the 17 line 6, which is the line that we call being the Bodhisattva. And the bodhisattva is the one that is able to teach this higher possibility of consciousness, to take things into a higher dimension. So here we are, we're being challenged. Are we being gracious? Are we on the right track in terms of dropping our story and saying, I can't, but actually, yes, I can, and here we are in this possibility of this massive shift that's taking place. Can we step up in all of this? And I'm not saying reflect too hard on what happened in 2006 and the subsequent years, but be aware, what it was that was actually going on there. Where do we find our stability? Stability is an inside job. We have to find it inside ourselves. And we make the steps. We're being called on more and more these days to trust in ourselves. We've all got these gifts. We've all got these abilities to establish for ourselves, how do I go through life according to me? Trust your human design. Find out what's going on there. And be prepared to really recognize this is a time of massive jumps in personal consciousness. Over to you again.
It sounds like we're repeating ourselves. It's because there's a resounding theme that goes throughout the month, and everywhere we look, when we go from first quarter moon to full moon to third quarter moon to new moon, and the energies that are playing out in between are all moving us along this particular trajectory, which is about what we've been talking about, which is about awakening and really taking a leap of awakening at this time. When we look at the first quarter moon, that happens on July 13th. So right here at the middle of the month of July, we're at a turning point. The first quarter moon in Libra, just looking at what, basically what you were saying, Shaitan, where is our life in balance, or where might it be out of balance? Our life, our relationships, our monetary resources, all the pillars of our life, are they in balance? And if not, what do we need to do to bring them into balance? What healing needs to happen? What changes need to happen? So we will be looking at that at this first quarter moon, as the sun in Cancer forms a right angle with Chiron. Chiron is that planet well, it's not really a planet, it's a huge asteroid that's kind of functions like a planet in a way. That it's about becoming aware of our higher self. It's about moving from a place of a personality-directed life to a soul-directed life. It's a process. We all have the opportunity to go through that doorway around age 50, 51, 52, right in there, 48, 49, 50, it's 53, right in there, about a 5-year period of time, when the door opens for us to drop the tyranny of the personality and step into the light of the soul. And that's essentially what's happening in a very powerful way with this particular aspect at this time. Also, the sun is moving into a triangle aspect with Neptune. So if we haven't already gotten our vision about what our next steps are, what our next creation is, or what spirit is calling us to, here it is, folks, loud and clear at this first quarter moon, right in the middle of July. What is your awakening? What is it that spirit is calling you to? And stepping into that, we still have the planet Mars, the planet that has to do with our work in the world, in a very tight now, close conjunction together with Uranus. And it's time for radical transformation. It's time to, not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but definitely throw the bathwater out and start in a fresh, clean mountain spring. Let's just allow ourselves to be bathed in light and allow that light to move our life. It's huge. There's also some of the highest creativity I've seen, and that's going on all month. So whatever creativity you're inspired to at this time, I would say go for it. Make the time for it. It's important. It's important for your soul, but it may also be germane to your business or to your professional life and to your financial well-being, to follow the inspiration of your soul, and whatever that creative that next creative thing is that comes in, to trust the vision of it and move with it. Saturn is now firmly retrograde in Pisces. So we're looking back over what are the psychospiritual lessons that we've been really challenged to work through in this year, this phenomenal year of 2024, this year of, huge awakening. As we modulate our energy, as we align our energy to our higher self, our spirit essence, what is it that our spirit essence wants to bring through us? Well, we can only discover that when we're in the present moment. So how do you particularly get in the present moment? Is it a daily meditation ritual or some daily touch in with spirit? That's the only way we can cultivate this awareness at this point in time. It's so important. It's a time when humanity is going to be calling out for all of it. Those of us who've been working with consciousness and awareness and systems like human design and astrology and healing, all these different healing techniques, we've been doing all this for a reason. And it's because humanity is getting ready to see the value of that work and step into it. So life is asking you to get ready by stepping into your highest frequency, following your highest vision, and allowing yourself to trust enough to just step through that doorway. Just trust it and go with it. Everything that I see in the astrological energies at this period of time in the middle of July is moving us towards divine inspiration and divine creativity and new really phenomenal innovation. I mean, there's some extraordinary innovations happening now in the world of science, genetics. The human genome is about to be completely understood in a way that we literally can work with it to cure all diseases. This is happening. This is actually happening. We're going to see it in our lifetime. The financial systems are changing. Finally, we're seeing that the crack in the door has happened, and we'll find there'll be a new world currency, a new world way of exchanging value, which basically is what the financial system is about. And we're part of that. So none of this happens without us being willing to do the work that we came here and that we're inspired to do. So let's move on to the full moon.
All right. So full moon on the 21st, and it happens in hexagram or gateway number 60. 60 is right at the bottom of the chart in the root center, and it just so happens that Pluto's in the 60 at the moment as well. So let's just say we're not only having a full moon, we're having a full Pluto too. So, Pluto is the planet that we relate to massive transformation. Things can't stick around if they're not in balance with Pluto involved. And so the fact that there's a full moon happening there as well in gateway number 60 gives us a little extra attention here. What is gate 60 all about? It's the gate of limitation. What are the limitations, the things that hold us back? Why do they hold us back? Because we can't see over the fence. We can't see a way out, or we somehow convince ourselves there's no way out. And it happens in the third line. And so this line I found is very interesting. It's called being self-indulgent, learning through exceeding your own sensible limits. Right? We all know what our sensible limits are. And sometimes when we step over the bounds, we find, I took a step too far there. Or sometimes when we don't go so far enough, we find out, I really missed out there. And so here it is, recognizing your limits. You either restrain yourself or you proceed rashly and pay the price. So we're all just being called to order here with this full moon and just saying, look, we've had this great encouragement to accept opportunities, to face challenges and play through them. See what is being really offered to you when a challenge comes up. What is it's really calling you to do or be involved in? And then we had the new moon at the beginning of July, just saying, get rid of the old story. Come on, it's not doing you any good. And now we're just saying, okay, clear decks, clear possibilities, open possibilities. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to expand your creativity? How are you going to expand forward? What are you going to do with this circumstance? And Pluto's in there as well, and just saying, look, drop the old, get rid of the old. What's on offer here? What are you really being called? Are you having to tighten your belt a little bit? Are you having to expand your creative pursuits a little bit? Are you finally getting to do what it is you really love to do in life? Right? These kinds of things, because as Carola says, the changes that are taking place here, never before.
Yeah, enormous. And so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's whole new horizons opening up, all new realms of possibilities opening up. How are we restricting ourselves? What are we believing in that absolutely no longer serves us? And so that's where I'm going to leave off talking about, to me, July is really going to be a fascinating month to watch and to be part of and to step through. And we're going to meet again towards the end of July, and we'll just see, what have we all done with this month? What's happened?
Yes. Yeah. Exciting time. Very exciting times. This full moon that happens on the 21st of July probably is the illumination of all that we've been working on, all that we've been talking about, all the energies that we've been seeing that are playing out in our lives, coming to fruition. We have this full moon with full Pluto, as you said it, because Pluto is right there with the full moon, saying whatever transformation needs to happen, allow it to happen, because what's on the other side is really astoundingly beautiful and better than you could even imagine. The kind of flow that we can live our lives in, the kind of sense of almost like perfection that we can begin to experience, in every encounter and every possibility and every opportunity, the way that it comes, and the miracle of it all, just living in the miracle. And that's essentially what's being illuminated at this full moon. That's the time of big transformation. The transformation is letting go of a limited way of living or a limited way of seeing life and stepping into an expansive way of living and seeing life. And everything in the planetary field is promoting that right now in very powerful ways. I mean, I almost am struggling for words to describe how powerful this is. I don't think I've seen such a dynamic combination of energies. That dynamic and positive at the same time. In terms of big, huge awakenings and big leaps in consciousness, leaps in awareness, leaps in possibility. So
great time to celebrate.
Yes, enjoy the onset of the summer season, and it's been our pleasure to be with you, and we will be back with you again next month on the 27th of July.
Amazing times.
Yeah.
See you again soon.